actually, I'm not gonna lie, I actually saw three people walk out from my theater.
Really?
Yeah, they walked out. Like they took their popcorn, they took their drinks, and got it there.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody walk out of my theater, but there were I was in the back row of my theater, and there were these two ladies next to me, and they both like rolled their seats back and just sort of slumped over, and I think they fell asleep. And I don't blame them, to be honest, because there's quite a few moments of that movie where it's you feel like falling asleep.
So this is Bree's perspective with me, Preeta. So today we'll be talking about Megalopolis, which is the magnum opus from Francis Ford Coppola, the same guy who gave us masterpieces like Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, and I have to admit this was just something else. So I thought, why should I review this movie alone? So I'm joined with my fellow cinemaniac, Dylan. What's up?
What's up? Nice to see you guys, sir. Nice to see you, Krita.
Nice to see you too. All right, so let's get into it. Was there before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff, was there any part of the movie, just any, that you liked about the film?
You know, that's the thing. It's like, if you were to ask me right now what was my favorite scene of the film, I don't think I would have any answer for you, because it was like the whole thing it unfolded in such a strange way that it was, I really don't think I have any like favorite moment or anything, you know? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to admit, because I came in with like a half-heartedly packed theater, and people were literally so anticipated to see this. And I don't know why, in certain sequences, they were unintentionally laughing. It mostly turned out to be an unintentional comedy, to be honest.
I agree. There weren't, honestly, I had a packed theater with me, and I didn't really hear any people laughing that much. But the dialogue was just so...
My gosh.
It was so weird. I mean, I feel like Francis Ford Coppola really, he wrote and directed this movie, so...
Yes! I mean, and this is supposed to be set in the future. I mean,
how futuristic was it, though? I mean, when really did this movie take place? Because I was really had a hard time trying to figure that out. It was like, where are we, you know?
The movie shot almost entirely in New York. Why would you name it New Rome for some reason? Why? I mean, why would you like... You have a city which has a distinct identity of its own. You could have easily like given us a new version of what Rome would look like in the future, you know? Instead, you just take the backdrop of New York. Even the police cars, you literally just had to remove the Y and change it with R.
I know, that was hilarious, the way the NYPD police cars were literally exactly the same, but they just changed one letter. Even like the police uniforms and everything. It was like,
God.
It didn't make any sense. I was like,
Did not. And I mean, here's the thing. Here's a man who has given us like Godfather, who has given us Apocalypse Now, but at the same time, he has also given us a very meme-worthy moment with Sofia Coppola in The Godfather 3. So I mean, I can give him a bit of a leeway, but this was, if I had to summarize it in one line, this was Coppola on acid.
It really seems like he was just swinging for the fences with this, and I really don't think he achieved what he, like, I mean, I guess in Coppola's mind, he achieved what he wanted to, but honestly, like, I can see why the distributors for this movie did not want to touch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the distributors didn't want to touch it, producers didn't want to touch it, and correct me if I'm wrong, this took at least like what, 12 and a half years in the making?
Oh, I think it's longer than that. I think he
my God.
came up with the idea back in the 80s, but he could never really figure it out. He could never get funding, which ultimately makes, I mean, Francis Ford Coppola had to create a wine company.
Oh my gosh.
Just so he could sell wine and then use the profits from that to fund this movie, which I mean, it makes sense why he had to do that, because this was, I think the producers, whoever he screened this for, whoever he pitched the idea for, they were like, you know, who is this movie for? Who is it made for?
Yeah, exactly. And even when we were talking about like the technical aspects of it, the script was way too on the nose. I mean, you could literally see like certain characters emulate certain personalities that we are seeing in real life and using their real life quotes. And something I was really bummed about was the VFX. How artificial can you be with like having literally an LED background and showing like someone going up and down the elevator? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, it really didn't seem like, I mean, I think the budget for this movie was $120 million.
Yeah, 120.
It didn't seem like they I don't know, like you said, the VFX, it was pretty much just bad, really. Like, gosh. When you saw the scenes of Megalopolis, like towards the end, Adam Driver, I guess, builds the city or whatever.
Yeah. Where is Spirit? Where? Hey, almost as if Coppola has like started off with this idea of having a debate about the future, or kind of having a bit of a debate with dystopia versus utopia, or how does the now impact the future, and then he absolutely ended up making it into a love story or a lust story.
Yeah, see, that's what really, like, the characters of Shia LaBeouf and Aubrey Plaza, they really didn't fit that well into the story with me. For one thing, it was like, why was Shia LaBeouf in drag?
Yeah, and why? I mean, I think he was in drag just for that one dialogue, which goes like, "Revenge is best served when wearing a dress." That's it. After that, he gets a haircut. He gets, God knows what happens to him, and he becomes an entertainer. I don't know. But speaking of, let's talk about performances. Let's talk about since evidently we didn't like any of them. Let's start from like whom we just disliked to downright cringed.
I'll tell you who I disliked in the movie was Jon Voight.
Oh, yes.
I have really no idea what he was trying to do, and I think I'm guessing Francis Ford Coppola is like an old friend of his, Jon Voight, and that's why he was cast in the film in the first place, because that guy he's pretty much stayed away from like big Hollywood movies for the past I don't even know how long, like 40 years.
Right.
I think the last movie he was in that was sort of in the Hollywood mainstream was like Midnight Cowboy.
Oh,
maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the scene where he talks about his boner.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so strange and like out of left field.
Yeah, first, like, no, it literally like starts off with him talking about his boner and then goes on to killing Aubrey Plaza? Like,
yeah, he starts shooting them with arrows. He starts shooting Shia LaBeouf and Aubrey Plaza. And it was like, what? I mean, I just couldn't figure out where the movie was going. That was the thing. It's like, Tarantino said this in an interview, which I really loved. It was like a great story sort of unfolds. You know, like this scene leads to this scene. and then it leads to the next scene, and it was just like, I didn't get that at all with this movie.
Yeah, exactly. And whom did you cringe? Whom did you cringe at?
The Grinch?
Whom did you cringe at?
Oh, who do I cringe at the most? Probably either Jon Voight or Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
to be honest.
God.
I think both of their performances were just so. Really, I don't know how to describe it. You know, it was just like I walked out of the movie thinking to myself, like, what was that? Like, what? It just, I really can't put it together.
I felt like Adam Driver's character, it seemed more like a character out of SNL, kind of going more into this villain SNL universe. I don't know. Kind of having that, you know, that skit where he's playing undercover boss in his Star Wars character, Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost felt like that, or more like a continuation of that. And so that was like, what the hell are you doing, Adam? And the one I cringed at the most was Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
I read that like she apparently watched a bunch of Fox News or some shit to get into character. And I was just like, I mean, I guess she was playing like a news reporter, so it kind of made sense. But yeah, I couldn't. My main problem with the movie was, other than like Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito, I really couldn't understand the motivations of the characters.
I didn't understand like what was the flow of the story. And another actor I cringed at was Lawrence Fishburne. It's as if he was like playing the Watcher from the Marvel universe, except it's in Coppola's universe, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. I really didn't like Lawrence Fishburne's narration throughout the movie.
Why was there narration in the first place?
I don't know, man. It just Coppola. He took such a big swing with this movie.
Oh God.
That I think I don't know. I mean, it's such a hard movie to review, really.
Yeah.
Like the plot, honestly, it made no sense. You know.
You take like the basic storyline, like having a debate about the future, thinking about how does your present impact the future. It would have still made a good film, but there have been better films about that. And if Megalopolis was not as extravagant, I mean, I hate saying this, but the trailers were better than the movie.
The advertising, I know a lot of people said the marketing campaign was like bad, or they didn't like it, but I really liked it. I mean, they absolutely sold me with the trailers, and that one, I think it was like AI generated, which honestly that kind of sucks. But they had these reviews of all of Coppola's old films. It was like The Godfather, it's a piece of trash, and Apocalypse Now, it's, you know, it was just it was I don't know.
I mean,
those movies are actually really good. Like Coppola, he really used to have a director's touch, you know. And I think he's kind of lost that.
Yeah, and plus I feel more bad for the actors, because this is like a full-fledged magnum opus. You have a director who's had a pretty solid legacy in Hollywood, and the one time you get to work with him is, well, a film which has sex, too much ego, and like 1% of a story. So I feel so bad for them, and what made them say yes in the first place?
Well, I mean, one actor, I think Adam Driver really enjoyed his experience with it. I know he was at Cannes with Coppola, and he sort of stood up at the end of the premiere and was like, gave some speech about how this man is the reason why we're all, going to the theaters and why we're all so passionate about filmmaking. And it was just like, he really, I agree with what you're saying about the actors and how they, it was sort of unfortunate that this was the film that they got to work on. But I don't know. I mean, it seemed like to me everybody had a good time making it. I doubt they really care about how it does critically, but commercially, I don't think the movie is gonna do very good. They said
I am expecting like Deadline and Variety to come up with their headlines already saying Megalopolis flops by only collecting what I know it's already projected to collect like 5 million in the box office with early collections. Maybe it will end up with what, 10?
And maybe if they're lucky.
If they're lucky, yeah. Oh, my God.
Is that just in the opening weekend?
That's
10 million?
just the opening weekend.
Yeah, for a movie that they spent 160 million or however much. That's really not good at all. Oh
my gosh. People are gonna lose so much faith in Coppola's ability, and I feel so sad that this might be the end of his legacy with this. And with that being said, if you had to like summarize your review into like a 1-sentence Letterboxd review, what would it be?
Oh God, that's tough. I guess I would say a beautiful mess, because the movie was beautiful. It was a beautiful mess that really just tried to do too much.
Right.
There was just way too much going on, from scene to scene. It was just like I don't know. It was honestly hard to follow. Like, I really had a hard time trying to follow the plot for this movie.
Yeah.
What would your 1-sentence review be?
I guess it would be, I know I'm gonna be like really wrong about this, but again, 12 and a half years or more for this?
Yeah. I don't know, it's such a strange movie because it was the script was genuinely bad. I mean, it was a bad script.
It was a really bad script. It almost kind of made me feel like, okay, have you watched David Lynch's version of Dune?
Yeah, I've seen David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah, it almost feel like I was seeing that, but only worse.
That's actually a really good comparison, because David Lynch's Dune, like the production design and the set pieces and the costumes were all just gorgeous, just like this movie. I mean, this movie had great costumes and all that stuff, but when it came down to the characters actually saying their lines, I found myself cringing.
It was so bad, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually saw 3 people walk out from my theater.
Really?
Yeah, they walked out. Like, they took their popcorn, they took their drinks, and got out there.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody walk out of my theater, but there were, I was in the back row of my theater, and there were these 2 ladies next to me, and they both, like, rolled their seats back and just sort of slumped over, and I think they fell asleep. And I don't blame them, to be honest, because there's quite a few moments of that movie where you feel like falling asleep.
I mean, the love story was too long. Caesar's affairs were way too long. That entire subplot with the pop star was overstretched at best.
That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
Like the she was a 16-year-old and they arrested him, but she was actually 23. Like what? That didn't make any sense.
What there in the first place?
Yeah, I have no idea. Coppola. I think Coppola is just he's too old at this point.
Ouch.
Like, I know I don't mean to be ageist or whatever, but I think he's really just lost his touch.
Yeah.
And I don't know if him aging, I mean, I think he's like 80 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's other filmmakers who sort of grow with their filmmaking into their old age, like Martin Scorsese with Killers of the Flower Moon.
I was actually going to refer to Scorsese and Killers of the Flower Moon. The fact that this was kind of way too different for his usual direction style, because with Scorsese and Killers of the Flower Moon, he acknowledged the fact that he's also a part of the problem towards the end.
Exactly, yeah.
It did feel like there were some parts, and I'm not gonna lie, it felt a bit draggy, it felt a bit unnecessary, but by the time he rolled it in, it all made sense. It all made sense, like why he dragged those parts out, why he kind of was kind of changing the narrative and kind of showing how the narrative changed from the Osage people to King Hale and all of his goons, white goons. And he also showed that with like reducing the screen time for Lily Gladstone. But Megalopolis, it just felt like too many ideas cooked in one pot, and it just bleh.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you were to compare Megalopolis to Killers of the Flower Moon, Megalopolis is such an unserious movie.
Yeah.
You know, Killers of the Flower Moon really, like, there was a plot that you wanted to, like, I don't know about you, but with Megalopolis, I was just kind of zoning out.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I couldn't figure out where the film was going, but when I watched Killers of the Flower Moon about a year ago, I was like, I was so entranced.
Exactly.
You know, I was
exactly.
Just like,
right.
It unfolded like a story should, you know?
Exactly, right. For me, it was also like, so I saw Killers in IMAX. I know Megalopolis was also released in IMAX. Thank God I didn't watch it. Whoosh, I watched it in RPX. I was literally like texting my group chat. I think you also saw it. I was texting the group chat saying, "Get me out of here!" Because even
you wanted to walk out, didn't you?
To walk out. It's like, but there was like some part of me saying, "Okay, some good part is gonna come out. Some good part is gonna come out."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would ever walk out of a movie unless it was just like insultingly bad.
Yeah.
You know, like it insults your intelligence as a viewer. I don't think Megalopolis did that. You know, although it was extremely just convoluted, and the plot, it really ultimately didn't make any sense to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it was like Adam Driver is trying to build this futuristic city where the oppressed and the lower class people are sort of brought in, and that everybody's equal. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, it did. It didn't work for me too. So, let's say you were to rate this film out of 5, how much would you give?
Well, on Letterboxd, I gave it 3.5 because I did sort of enjoy the fact that Coppola took such a big swing with this movie. Yeah. I mean, it was like, you can tell he didn't care whether, the audience, the general audience liked the movie or not. He was just making a film that is his passion project that he connected with, and he didn't really give a fuck if anyone else connected with it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. On Letterboxd, I gave it 2.5.
That's fair.
Like you said, visually it was beautiful, and barring some parts, or rather like 80% of the parts where the VFX was just shitty. But
Yeah.
it was beautiful. And there were some parts which I felt engaged and I felt like it was relevant. But I mean, I was hoping that there would be some redeeming quality about the film, which would kind of get more viewers to enjoy it. But it was downright absurd. Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask, did you have the interactive part or was it recorded for you?
The interactive part, you mean when he's supposed to break the fourth wall?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I had the did you have that part where he breaks the fourth wall?
I didn't.
I'm pretty sure the only people who got to see that part were in Cannes when it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival.
In Cannes, and plus, like, sporadically there are theaters across New York and LA where there was like a writer. But turns out I did a bit of digging about that part. Turns out that part was already like pre-recorded, and in the theater there would just be this one guy wearing a costume of a reporter with that typical like Roman crown, whatever you call it, and he would just lip sync to the line.
Yeah, I heard that too, and to me that sounded extremely weird. And it's like, that really, I mean, how would that even make sense?
Yeah.
A movie that's supposed to distribute, nationwide. It's like, are you gonna hire some dude to come out and perform that scene for every theater? I mean, it was just, I think that was Francis Ford Coppola.
I was actually hoping that the dialogue will be said live, but now that I know it's already kind of like, pre-recorded, I'm like, well, why the fuck would you do that then?
I don't like that idea, to be honest. It's really weird. It doesn't make any sense for a movie.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, that was pretty much it. This was our mega rant about Megalopolis. Dylan, thank you so much for joining me. I knew I had to do this with someone else because I was pretty sure I couldn't do this alone. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do the whole shebang, and buy and save yourself some money.
Thanks for having me. Bye, Preetha.
Bye.